Time now to bring in Director of Scouting for 24/7 Sports, Adam Finkelstein. And Adam, this young man from Ohio is going to be a baller at whatever school he chooses based on the tape that I've watched. You've evaluated him for years now, so what makes him such a coveted prospect?
You know what it is, Chris? It's just an effortless ability to get his own shot and create shots for others, all within the flow of the game. He just makes it look easy. And he's one of these type of guys who's got extreme versatility and can just get to various spots. No matter what the defense does, he's got a counter for it. It's obviously not to say he's a finished product. Nobody at this stage is. But he is farther along that path than any guard in high school basketball. Extreme versatility as a scorer and a playmaker. And the fact that he's a 6'5" guard with a 6'10" wingspan who can play the point guard with the ball in his hands or slide off the ball, that doesn't hurt either.
Right, and that's what NBA GMs are probably salivating over. Of course, they have to wait at least 1 year until he makes a decision about whether he's going to play 2 years in college. But now it's about Kansas State, Ohio State, and USC. So when you look at his skill set, Adam, what type of immediate impact do you believe he's going to have at any of the schools you just saw on this full screen?
Well, it's significant. And I think, listen, it's no secret that Darryn Peterson is going to want to pursue a one-and-done pathway. So he's going to be looking for a place where he can have an immediate opportunity. But he's got the game to back that up because, as I said, physically, he's got all the measurements. He's also gotten himself into the best shape of his life. This is, for someone who has had all these early accolades, this is also a humble young man. When you talk to him, I got to spend some time with him this summer, talk to him about the progression of his leadership, of his work ethic. He has handled the limelight extremely well, and that is something that is not easy for so many of these kids to do. When you're 15, 16 years old and you have everybody telling you how great you are, which is a situation he's been in for a couple of years, to take that all in stride, to continue to get better with each step along the way, that's what really makes a prospect special. And I think that's certainly the case for him. And as I said, the next step in this journey is him finding a place where he's going to have an opportunity to come in and really show the NBA scouts what he wants to do, because we don't who wants to get to the league sooner rather than later.
Right, and just one more thing I'll add. In the interview you did with him, one of the things that I really loved was how he decided to give his teammate encouragement after a teammate missed him on a fast break, instead of, as you mentioned, cussing him out or being, coming down hard on them. And that is not something you see from a 17-year-old. So he's definitely wise beyond his years, also as a basketball player, but also as a person. And he's about to announce where he's going to college. Adam, we appreciate the time.
Welcome, everybody watching at home on CBS Sports HQ and the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. We're here in Napa, California for the live announcement from Darryn Peterson, the #3 player in the class of 2025, who's going to be choosing between Kansas State, Ohio State, and USC. Let's go ahead and welcome the man of the hour. Darryn, why don't you come on in?
Thank you.
How you doing?
Good, you?
Good. Now, we see your family walking in here with you. Let's go ahead and start off with, who do you have here with you this evening?
Yep, got my little brother Dalen, my dad, little sister Dior, and my mom.
All right. This has been a really big journey for you, obviously, making your way to this point and getting to where you're going to announce your college commitment. What has the journey been like for you? Has it been a difficult one? Have there been ups and downs?
Tons of ups and downs, injuries, lost my grandmothers, just stuff like that, but then tons of ups too. I'm blessed to still be here today and get to live out this journey.
What is it about you and the way you play that has made all these big-time universities want to have you come play for them?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I feel like I can score, defend, facilitate, rebound. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Everyone knows you as Darryn Peterson, but you've got this alter ego, Bucket Jones.
Yeah.
What happens when you go from DP to Bucket Jones?
I turn to a different person, as I like to say. In between those lines, I feel like I'm no longer DP, Darryn Peterson. I'm Bucket Jones now. My dad made that up at a young age. I always wanted to get buckets, Jones is like Jonesing for something. It's like an addiction. So I say I had an addiction to buckets growing up, but obviously now I'm more mature. I'm more about winning now, doing whatever it takes to win, but that's where I got the Bucket Jones from.
Now, you're accomplished a lot of firsts in high school. You're the first with an Adidas deal in high school. You're the first junior to sign with Fanatics. You're the first with a private jet deal. You're the first to even sign with Jason in Beverly Hills for a jewelry deal. Your mother has started a not-for-profit, the Strive Collective. let's talk about some of that. Adidas, what have they meant to you as a partner?
A lot, There's tons of high school athletes they could have chose, but they chose me to make the first. It feels great being a part of history, and it's great having a worldwide brand behind me and believing in me.
And then you've also got another great partner, the 727 Marketing Group. What have they meant to you along the way?
A lot. They get a lot of stuff done off the court, but the main thing with them is staying between the lines, just focusing on the main thing, which is hoop for me. So I'm just locked in on the basketball. They handle all the also off-court stuff.
All right, now we're getting close to the moment. You didn't get here on your own. I'm sure you've got some people you'd like to thank. Why don't you go ahead and take a second and recognize all those people who have been so important to you?
Yeah, first I want to thank God. Without God, none of this is possible. God blessed me with this ability to play the game and the talent. And then I want to thank my family, for supporting me, believing in me, and always being honest with me. And then my parents, my mom and dad, been there for me through all the ups and downs. Been some people I could always count on, always trusted me, and they sacrificed lots of time and money for me, and they didn't know I'd become this player I am today, but they did it with no question, and I appreciate them for that. Then my little siblings, this has been a process for them too. I went to Huntington Prep, I left them, and then now I'm out here across the country, so it's been an adjustment for everybody, but they believed in me the whole way, and I appreciate them for that. And then I want to thank my trainers and coaches. Spend countless hours in the gym with me, watching film, getting better at my game, perfecting my craft, and without them I wouldn't be here today either, so I want to thank them as well.
So the time is here. Is it going to be Kansas? Is it going to be Kansas State? Is it going to be Ohio State? Or is it going to be USC?
I'll be taking my talents to the University of Kansas. Go Jayhawks.
So Kansas it is. I'm sure Bill Self and the Kansas coaching staff are excited right now watching on CBS Sports HQ. What is it about Coach Self and the Kansas program that made you say this is the place I need to be?
Yeah, I just feel like it aligned perfectly with my academic and athletic goals. Kansas has a strong history of development and success, which were two huge things for me during this process. We're finding somewhere I can go develop as a player and also have success while doing it and winning. And then Coach Self and Coach KT, they've done a great job recruiting me. They've been recruiting me since my freshman year, so the relationship's been there. And then he told me how he could use me in the offense and what he do to utilize my talents and what he sees from me. And I seen the same stuff he was seeing. So,
you talk about your talents. What should Kansas Jayhawks fans expect from you when you get there next year?
Bucket Jones, buckets, but just a lot of wins. I'm gonna try my best to get us to a championship and bring it back.
And then finally, what's your last message for Jayhawk fans before you get there on campus?
A lot of you guys already hit me up before the commitment, just trying to encourage me to come there, and I appreciate the support, and I expect the show next year in Lawrence. Rock Chalk Jayhawks.
There we have it. Darryn Peterson, the number 3 player in the class of 2025, has committed to Kansas. Back to Chris in the CBS Sports.
Thank you so much, Eric. And now it's time to bring in 24/7 Sports Director of Recruiting, Adam Finkelstein. And Adam, not a surprise, right? A lot of people felt like Kansas was the front runner, and that's what Darryn Peterson announces. Just your reaction on seeing it come to fruition.
I'm going to tell you what, there was an Ohio State buzz in the last 24 to 48 hours. You're 100% right that Kansas had been the expectation really for months. But Darryn Peterson is from the state of Ohio, and there was significant talk behind the scenes that the Buckeyes were still in this, even as recently as this afternoon. So I think this is a big sigh of relief for Kansas. They had invested so much time. Remember, they are losing a point guard in DeJuan Harris, who has been there for 5 years. He's been the starter. This will be his 4th year as Bill Self's starting point guard. So they needed to fill that position in the biggest way possible. Also losing guys like Zeke Mayo in the backcourt. So they had a significant hole to fill. And this is exactly the guy you want. If you can get one guard in high school basketball, this was the guard that Bill Self wanted, because he can come in, he can score the ball. You heard he calls himself Bucket Jones. He can play on the ball, he can play off the ball, and he is just the absolute perfect building block for what they are looking to do next season in Lawrence.
Yeah, this is the first time Bill Self has got a top 3 recruit in a class since 2016 when they got Josh Jackson, who also went to Prolific Prep. When you look at their roster for next year, Adam, how much of an impact do you think this man is going to make in changing the fortunes of Kansas in terms of bringing a championship, as he mentioned.
Yeah, I think it's going to be about sustaining the fortunes of Kansas, because this is a Jayhawk team that was really shorthanded last year. This season, they're widely expected to be one of the best teams in college basketball, but there's going to be wholesale changes after this season. I already talked about DeJuan Harris. They lose KJ Adams. They lose Hunter Dickinson. They lose Zeke Mayo. So there's a lot of guys, potentially 4 starters, that are going to graduate from this year's Kansas team. And that's assuming that guys like Flory Badunga, Rylan Griffin, and others don't leave for the NBA draft. So they are going to need significant reinforcements. And at the level they look to competing for national championships on an annual basis, there aren't that many high school players who are capable of coming in, sustaining that level, and making an immediate impact. Darryn Peterson is one of those players. All that stuff was going to be, I don't want to say negotiated, but going to be discussed thoroughly in the recruiting process, because we talked about it. Peterson wants to be a one and done. He wasn't going to go someplace where he knew he didn't have an opportunity to make a significant impact. And Bill Self, he's trying to win national championships. All those things have to align, and in this case, I think they might.
So what do you think, with all that being said, what do you think will be the biggest adjustment for Darryn Peterson as he enters his freshman campaign in 2025?
You know, for any high-profile guard, you've got to get used to having the ball in your hands just a little bit less than you were accustomed to. It's about increasing your efficiency while decreasing your volume. And don't get me wrong, Darryn Peterson is an efficient, unselfish player. For someone who does get those buckets, he knows how to create offense for his teammates as well. But he's going to have the ball in his hands less. Everybody does. Whether it's Cooper Flagg this year, whether it's Ace Bailey, whether it's Dylan Harper, the amount of volume you get as the best player in high school is just more than it is as the best player in college, especially when you have an unprecedented amount of talent around you. And that's going to be the case for Darryn Peterson next season. So it's about, as I said, being efficient with less volume and figuring out how to impact the game in other ways. And then, listen, there's always a physical transition. There's always adjusting to the terminology, the physicality, the pace of play, especially on the defensive end of the floor. That stuff is standard for any incoming freshman, but it is significant nonetheless.
And Jayhawk Nation can't wait to see him arrive on campus. Darryn Peterson heading to Kansas.